everyone, and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen. Here in Melbourne it's leading into winter, and so it's time to do those wonderful home heartwarming dishes. And today we're going to start with chocolate self-saucing pudding. So let's first start with our ingredients. We have 2 eggs, 40 grams of butter which we will be melting, 3 tablespoons of soy flour, 140 grams of caster sugar, 85 grams of white rice flour, 3 tablespoons of corn flour, or if you're in the US, cornstarch, half a cup of cocoa, 2 teaspoons of gluten-free baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence, 1 teaspoon of bicarb of soda, and 3/4 of a cup of milk. And now for the sauce, we need an additional 3 ingredients. 150 grams of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of cocoa, and 1 3/4 cups of hot water. And now I'd like to go through 2 of those ingredients in a little bit more detail. The first one is baking powder. You can buy normal baking powder and gluten-free baking powder. And obviously for those of us who are trying to avoid wheat, oats, barley and rye and being gluten-free, it's important to get the gluten-free baking powder. The second ingredient is soy flour. Soy flour has a wonderful property where it holds, so we'll get a nice rising cake that will hold in our pudding, but it also has a very strong nutty flavour, and so it's important that we mask it with things like chocolate. You wouldn't use soy flour if you were making a vanilla or a lemon self-saucing pudding. And so now let's start cooking. So first up we need to sift all of our dry ingredients. So first up we have our rice flour, our caster sugar, corn flour, soy flour, cocoa, baking powder and bicarb. Now because we've sifted cocoa, we end up with the cocoa sitting on the top and the other flours on the bottom. Now you can put it back in the sifter and sift it 2 or 3 times, or a cheat's way is just to use a whisk, keeping the air in and just mixing all of that through. Right, so now into our milk, we add our melted butter, the vanilla essence, and 2 eggs. We'll just crack them individually because the last thing you want to do is add a bad egg into all of that. And you could whisk all of those together in a separate bowl or here into my shaker just to break up the eggs a little, and then we can add them into our mix. So now we just need to mix the 2 lots of ingredients together. Doesn't that just look wonderful and chocolatey? Yum. Now this mix will serve 6, and you can make it in one large family-sized casserole dish or individual little ramekins. And these are 10cm ramekins. So we just need to prep them. So I've just got a little bit of butter here on a piece of paper towel, and it's just a matter of just greasing each bowl in readiness. And now it's time to put the mix into the bowls. Now just using a ladle into these. The trick is though not to overfill. 1 ladle full will give you a wonderful sized portion, otherwise you'll end up with quite a mess in your oven. So make sure you pop your ramekin dishes on a tray, and then it's literally just 1 soup ladle per bowl. Trying not to get stuff on the sides of the bowl. And now to make the luscious sauce. So with our extra 2 tablespoons of cocoa mixed into our brown sugar, just mix that through You don't have to be precise about it. And now just sprinkling over the top of each one. We're going to use all this mix, and it's about 2 tablespoons on each pudding. So now we need to add the water. If I was making one large pudding, I would add the whole 1.75 cups, but because we're dividing it over the 6 ramekins, I'm going to use just over 1/4 cup of water. So I've just got a little ladle here of a 1/4 cup measure to help me. But the most important thing as we do it is that we pour it over the back of a spoon, because what I'm trying to do is just make it a little bit more subtle going over the sugar mix and not disturb the cake underneath. So this is just a little bit trickier. And we want to make sure that all of the sugar is covered. So if it needs a little bit more water, then just add a little bit more to cover it. And then these are ready to go in the oven. So on a fan forced oven at 180 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. If you're doing the family sized one, that's 45 to 50 minutes, again at 180 degrees. And don't forget that all of the details are written on my blog with the link below. All right. Perfect. Don't they look good? And you can see how they've made a little bit of a mess on the tray. Let's pick one up. Pop it down. And now to serve, we're just going to use a little bit of cream. And a dusting of a little bit more cocoa. And that looks perfect for our guests. And now for the best part of any cooking, and that's the eating. Now be careful, this will be hot. That is so good and rich. Until next time, everybody. Ciao.